I want to thank the audience for being so respectful. I want to thank our candidates for being respectful to each other and to me as moderator and trying to manage the debate. The order of the final statements was determined by lot, and we begin with Mr. Reale, and you each have 1 minute.
So, again, I have to say I'm the only candidate on the stage whose promises are under penalty of perjury. I'm not going to vote for a bill I haven't read, and that I've done that in an affidavit, so if I go against it, I'm a felon, which I would encourage my opponents to do, which none have yet done. And I'm also the only candidate who is tackling mortgage fraud seriously. I understand that from a paralegal perspective in the legal industry. So one thing you're going to see with me is we're going to have hearings on that in Congress. We're going to dislodge a lot of that junk debt. And student loans, students are going to get meaningful relief when you send me to Congress. That's going to happen. And this business of nation building and undeclared wars, that's all over. I'm actually going to use the tool of impeachment instead of just offering words on the House floor. I'm going to stop the bombs from flying. It's time we did this. It's time we went to a strong Navy. And if you like 2 Sub Joe, you'll love 5 Sub Dan.
All right. Next final statement is from Ms. Novak.
You know, as a candidate who doesn't have big money behind me, I realize that, you know, it's a harder way for us to get to the public, to get our message out. But here's the reality. I'm an outsider, and I recognize that. I haven't spent my career in Washington or in Hartford. And what that means is I've been out trying to raise 2 kids on my own, going through the same things that everybody else in the district has gone through. I've had my student loans too. I get it, what we need to do. Now, you might say, okay, we all are like that. Well, what makes me a leader? I've been endorsed by a lot of people, admirals, generals, even Ron Paul. And the idea is this: I'm saying what everybody is feeling out there. We're going in the wrong direction. We've got to have change. We've had people in office for many years in this country, and things haven't gotten better. So what do we have to lose? Let's go and come up with some bold, new, creative ideas, and that means voting for me.
All right, thank you. Representative Courtney.
Thank you, Paul, and to the Day and Con College for hosting tonight's event. And 10 years ago, I was elected by 83 votes, closest race for Congress going back the last 20 years. After the recount was declared official, the first statement I made was that I consider it my obligation to represent all parts of the district, not just that 50% that voted for me 10 years ago. Fast forward 8 years, I carried every single town in this district 2 years ago, and I did it the old-fashioned way. We went out and we worked hard with folks, not just in the shipyard, but farmers in terms of dealing with their issues, educators in terms of helping kids avoid a doubling of their student loan interest rates, helping police and fire get the best equipment they possibly can to do their job, and helping veterans fight the bureaucracy. And I'm proud of the great team that we've had in my office, led by a 30-year ex-submariner who's done magnificent work helping retirees and veterans all across this district. I am, again, ready to take on this challenge again for the next 2 years. And again, I want to thank the people of this district for their faith in me and sending me to Congress. And I'm going to continue with that pledge that I made 10 years ago to represent every aspect and every corner of this district. And I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Courtney. Jonathan Pelto.
There's no question that we're on the wrong path. The question is, what is the path that we want to be on? And with the problems in polarization in Washington and in Hartford, the answer has to be to change the political dynamic and political framework. I'm running as a Green Party candidate. I was a Democrat my whole life, registered as a Democrat on my 18th birthday, but the Democratic Party as a nation, across the nation, has moved away from its roots. The fact is that if every member of Congress was even a third or a half or a quarter as good as Joe Courtney has been, we wouldn't see the kinds of problems that we've seen. And I've known Joe for 35, closing in on 40 years. I'm not running to run against Joe, as I've said. I'm running to ask people to be part of a building process to bring third parties to this country. That's the answer in the long term of how do we create the dynamics where the two-party system doesn't become the incumbency party of inaction. And so this election is very important at the federal level, at the state level, at the legislative level. The question is, what path are we going to take forward? And I believe the time has come that we start building for the long long term, and so therefore I ask you for your vote for the Green Party and for my candidacy, and I thank you for sitting through this tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Pelto. That concludes our debate.
Good job. You did a good job.
Again, thanks for being a great audience, and good night.
Can I say something, Jeff? Are you